Article 1 of the Global Code of Ethics for Tourism is about tourism's contribution to mutual understanding and respect between people and societies. Tolerant attitudes toward diversity are required for responsible tourism. Tourists and the local hosts are urged to respect each other's social and cultural norms and practices. Visitors should learn about the culture of their destination, while host communities should learn about the various lifestyle and expectations of visitors. The Ordinance Number 3 of the Municipality of Vigan, Ilocos Sur, titled The Ordinance Prohibiting the Act of Being Topless or Not Wearing Shirts in the Public Places within the Territorial Jurisdiction of the City of Vigan. Vigan has been the popular tourist destination in the Philippines because of its rich cultural and historical legacy. Anybody local or foreign should be prohibited to be topless or without a shirt within the Vigan's geographical jurisdiction, including public highways and sites. It requires all people to be courteous, respectful, and good etiquette in tourist areas. Feeding mothers, medical emergency, persons who are inside private premises, activities and events with special permit issued by the city government, indigenous people wearing their ethnic clothes in public swimming pools, beaches, and rivers are exemption in this ordinance. Anyone who violates this ordinance may be held liable and may be fined 200 pesos for the first offense, 500 pesos for the second offense, and 1,000 pesos for the third offense. Locals and visitors must abide this ordinance in order to show respect and maintain good etiquette.
The Article 2 of Global Code of Ethics for Tourism is about the tourism as a vehicle for individual and collective fulfillment, where Section 1, Tourism, the activity most frequently associated with rest, sport, and access to culture and nature, should be planned and practiced as a privileged means of individual and collective fulfillment. Section 2, Tourism activities should respect the equality of men and women. They should promote human rights and, more particularly, the individual rights of the most vulnerable groups, notably children, the elderly, the handicapped, ethnic minorities, and indigenous peoples. Section 3, the exploitation of human beings in any form, particularly sexual, especially when applied to children, conflicts with the fundamental aims of tourism and is the negation of tourism. As such, in accordance with international law, it should be energetically combated with the cooperation of all the states concerned and penalized without cession by the national legislation of both the countries visited and the countries of the perpetrators of this act, even when they are carried out abroad. Where in Vigan's 5th City Council Ordinance Number 14, Series of 2013, an ordinance instituting measures to counteract bullying committed among elementary pupils and high school students in the city of Vigan. On Section 1, this ordinance shall be known as the Anti-Bullying Ordinance of the City of Vigan. Whereas to create a habitable city that will protect the security and well-being of its children from any forms of bullying by enacting sound measures that will ensure that their growth and development is free from exploitation, improper influences, hazards, and other conditions or circumstances prejudicing their growth and development. It is also the city government of Vigan's policy to guarantee that any child's right to privacy is not and will not be impaired or limited beyond what is required. It demonstrates its commitment to every child's right by protecting the rights of both the victim and the abuser. All bullying processes must involve representation from parents, students, school district, and school personnel and administrators, volunteers who have substantial interaction with students and community members. Secondly, in Vigan 7 City Council Ordinance Number 17, Series of 2020, an ordinance prescribing guidelines for returning overseas Filipino workers, residents, workers, and students in the city of Vigan, covering the duration of the state of public health emergency and providing penalties for violations. Wherein Code of Ethics in Article 2 that includes in Section 4 travel for purposes of health which deserve encouragement. Whereas in Article 3, Section 11 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution provides that the state shall adopt an integrated and comprehensive approach to health development which shall endeavor to make essential goods, health, and other social services available to all people. Whereas the Sangguniang Panglungsod as the city's legislative body, it shall establish laws to guarantee the efficient and effective delivery of the fundamental services and facilities outlined in Section 17 of the Local Government Code, as well as the measures and quarantine rules to prevent the introduction of spread of illnesses. Thirdly, in 7th City Councilor Ordinance number 30 series of 2020, an ordinance prohibiting any person from committing any act of discrimination which cause stigma, disgrace, shame, and manifest prejudice, harassment, unequal treatment, exclusion, restriction, humiliation, or vilification against confirmed COVID-19 case, probable COVID-19 case, and suspect COVID-19 case, health worker or frontliner, as well as their family, neighbors, and barangay mates, and providing penalties thereof in the city of Vigan.
And for the article number 3, the sustainable development, the stakeholders, the organizations that connected in tourism development should safeguard the natural environment, continuous and sustainable economic growth for the present and the future generations. Saving the rare and precious resources, in particular the water and energy, as well as avoiding the possible waste production, should be given priority and encouraged by the national, regional, and local public authorities. And additional information, reduce the pressure and tourism activity on the environment, and let's enhance the beneficial impact to tourism industry. Protect the natural heritage, the ecosystem and biodiversity, and preserve the endangered species, the wildlife. And another, let us protect and respect, support the nature tourism and ecotourism, and to every destination that we are going to visit, let's keep in mind that we have to follow the carrying capacity on the sites.
The Global Code of Ethics for Tourism, Article 4, is about the tourism, a use of the cultural heritage of mankind and contributor to its enhancement. It recognizes the tourism resources belonging to humanity's common heritage, tourism laws, and activities should aim to safeguard and carry on the cultural heritage to the next generation. The municipality began to implement the Ordinance Number 4, titled on Ordinance Enacting the Preservation and Conservation Guidelines for Vigan Ancestral Houses. The ordinance aimed to maintain its cultural importance, including aesthetic, economic, environmental, historical, religious, and social values in order to help them understand their history, improve their present environment, and pass on to future generations. Conservation must attempt to ensure the historic town's security, preservation, and future. All fields, including anthropology, must be used in conservation. Socio-economic, architectural, engineering, and urban planning can help with the research, preservation, and protection of the historic town. A building or work should remain in its historical location. The moving of all parts of a building or work is not acceptable unless this is only means of ensuring its survival. The removal of content belonging to a historic house which form part of the cultural significance of the place is not acceptable unless doing so is the sole means of ensuring their security and preservation. Such content should be returned as soon as circumstances change to make their return practicable. For those who will violate this ordinance will be liable and fined 2,500 pesos and or 6 months imprisonment at the discretion of the court.
Local population should be associated with tourism activities and share equitably in the economic, social, and cultural benefits we generate, and particularly in the creation of direct and indirect jobs resulting from them. Special attention should be paid to the specific problems of coastal areas and island territories, and also to vulnerable or rural mountains regions for which tourism often present a rare opportunity for the development of the phase of the decline or traditional economic activity.
Global Code of It Aims, Ethics for Tourism, Article 6 is about obligation of stakeholders in tourism development. All tourism experts, public agencies, and governments are urged to work together to improve tourism safety and satisfaction. The press should also give accurate and impartial information on circumstances and events that may have an impact on tourism. The Ordinance Number 9 Series of 2015 was established in City of Vigan, Ilocos Sur. The ordinance is known as an ordinance establishing the Cultural Affairs, Public Relations, and Information Office of the City of Vigan. The function of Cultural, Public Relations, and Information Office is to operate as a city government's implementing arm in the formulation of culture and heritage conservation policies and programs, develop, manage, and organize a city year-round festival and other activities, oversee and act as administrator of several museums in the government of Vigan, which will incorporate the Vigan Conservation Complex, Warlick Children's Museum, and similar establishments, and function as a city government's liaison to the agency affected in cultural and heritage development and historical promotion.
The inexorably broad investment in public and global, the travel industry ought to be viewed as one of the most amazing potential articulation of the supported development of spare energy, and hindrances ought to be put in its matters. Article 24 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and Article 70 of the International Covenant of Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights guarantee the widespread to the travel industry should be viewed as the conclusion the option to rest and recreation, including sensible impediment of working hours and intermittent occasion with pay. In particular, associative tourism should spread the widespread of access to leisure, travel, and holidays with the support of public authorities. And lastly, family, youth, student, and senior tourism and tourism for people with disabilities ought to empower and work with.
Of tourist movements. Number 1. Tourists and visitors should benefit in compliance with international law and national legislation from the liberty to move within their countries from one state to another. Tourists and visitors should have access to all available forms of communication, internal or external. Number 3. Tourists and visitors should benefit from the same right as the citizens of the country visited concerning the confidentiality of the personal data and information concerning them. Administrative procedures relating to border crossings, whether they fall within the competence of states or result from international, such as visas or health customs formalities, should be adapted so far as possible as to facilitate the maximum freedom of travel and widespread to access international tourism. Number 5, so far as the economic situation of countries from which they come permits. Travelers should not have access to allowances of convertible currencies needed for their travels.
In accordance with Article 9, Rights of the Workers Entrepreneurs in the Tourism Industry, Subsector 6, Partnership and the Establishment of Balanced Relations between Enterprises of Generating and Receiving Countries contribute to the sustainable development of tourism and an equitable distribution of the benefits of its growth. And Ordinance Number 18, Series of 2005, enacting the Vigan City Investments Incentives Code of 2005 and for other purposes. Whereas, consistent with the government's thrust of spurring countryside development to improve the standard of living, LGUs have been formulating plans and undertaking activities that could lead to the socio-economic development of their own localities. To attain countryside development, economic activities have to be generated and enhanced. There is a need to attract local as well as foreign investments to provide business activities that will generate employment opportunities and improve the standard of living of the people in the city of Vigan, and also has to enhance its competitiveness in terms of its investment climate in order to attract local and foreign investors. It also promotes and accelerates the socio-economic development of the city, and in accordance with the existing national trust, it is hereby declared a policy to the city to encourage productive investment from local investors, extending as well to foreign investors up to the extent allowed by the Constitution and the Charter of Vigan City, which will expand livelihood and employment opportunities for the residents of Vigan City. The city encourages and welcomes new investments and expansion in areas relating to agribusiness, food processing, warehousing, tourism infrastructure, sports, entertainments, and manufacturing, which will harness the skills and the God-given bounty of the city.
Article 10. Implementation of the principles of the Global Code of Ethics for Tourism. Here, public and private stakeholders in tourism development, along with international institutions and non-government organizations, must work together to implement and monitor these principles. In Vigan City, in Ilocos Sur, this place holds the distinction of being a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the new 7 Wonder Cities. Having this preserved and designed an architecture of old Spanish communities, here they maintain what Article 10 is, that international and non-government organizations must work together to implement and monitor the beauty of this place where many people want to go.